Hey Tubies, it's Psychic Bob. Well, here it is, Saturday. Oh, it is so good to be with you guys. Well, I'm sorry I didn't get out a video on Friday. I ran into a lot of technical problems. I had readings, and then I was trying to get my new webcam installed. Remember I told you guys I was going to get a higher grade webcam? Well, I bought one, and you know, being a psychic, I should have listened to my higher self. My higher self said, don't buy from this seller, buy from another one, even though he had excellent feedback. Well, I bought this webcam here and went and plugged it into my computer. Now, it says here, the instruction booklets and all, that it's got automatic drivers to launch it. I said, great. And then basically it says in the book, just plug it in and it'll activate. Well, when I plugged it in, guess what happened? Up on the screen came a computer game, kind of like solitaire. It was like a card game or a poker game. And it wouldn't let you exit playing a card game. Now, behind that, you could see the application software for the camera, but it wouldn't let me get to it. So when I closed out the game, it shut down everything. And I cannot get this camera at all to run. It's literally like totally dead. So I think I got taken. I've written to the seller to see what he can do about it. But at this point, what a waste of time. So I was really disappointed because I wanted to use my new high quality webcam to start filming for you guys so we'd have a better picture. But ain't going to happen right now. So we'll see what happens with this. But here we are, it's Saturday. You know, Psychic Bob wouldn't forget you on a Saturday. And so I thought we'd have a little lesson in spiritualism today. And we'll have our little seance as well. Now, you remember last time, it's been about 2 weeks, we didn't have this last week, but 2 weeks ago we covered the Declaration of Principles found in Spiritualism. And I thought we'd go back and go a little more in depth today on one of the points here. We're going to talk today about physical mediumship. And let me just start here. I want to read Declaration Principle number 2, and this is from the Spiritualist Church. And it says, point number 2, we believe that the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are the expression of infinite intelligence. Now, what does that mean? Infinite intelligence is God. In spiritualism, we say we believe in infinite intelligence. It means we believe in a loving, creative force, a consciousness from which all life emanates. Okay, that's the basis of the belief in spiritualism. Now, we believe that the phenomena of nature, both physical and spiritual, are the expression of infinite intelligence. What that means is that basically the divine spirit, God, works through nature to communicate with us, through the natural world, and also that the spirit, the divine spirit of God, Godhead, works through spiritual phenomena. So this is why, like when I do readings, like each week on messages from the spirit world, I always say listen to all the messages, because spirit is trying to work to reach as many people as possible. So many people say, you know, Psychic Bob, you were doing a reading for somebody else and a message came through that really helped me and gave me the answer. And see, that's how spirit works. It works through all the phenomena. So even if you're, you know, going to a spiritualist gathering and you don't get a message, you might get a message indirectly through somebody else's message. So, you know, that's a wonderful thing. When I used to go to the Spiritualist church, I'd sit in the pews. Some Sundays I'd get a message, sometimes I wouldn't. But I would hear things that really got my mind open to higher realities and higher messages. And that's one of the wonders of spiritualism, is that spirit really does speak to all people in all ways, times, and places. You know, today I'm wearing my little blue cross. I don't think I've shown this one to you. I have a few of them now. I've been collecting them. But in the older time spiritualist movement, blue crosses were one of the symbols of spiritualism. Now, as I said the other time, spiritualism is kind of divided nowadays into two camps. There's Christian spiritualists, and then there's non-Christian spiritualists. When I was in the Spiritualist church, there was a divide in our own church. Half the church believed we were a Christian branch of denomination of Christianity, which are Christian spiritualists, and the other half said, no, we're independent religions separate of Christianity. So, I don't know, I always thought we were Christian at the time because we had a Bible on the altar. We read from the Bible. They had crosses in the church, pictures of Jesus, so I don't know. I always love Jesus. I think Jesus is a great ascended master. He's a divine one. He's a mystical incarnation. So I don't have a problem with having Jesus in spiritualism. And as I said, I practice religion of Christianity. I mean, I practice spiritualism and Wicca. And so to me, they're each unique in themselves, but they work perfectly in my life. Interestingly, to affirm my connection about saying that spiritualism was a denomination or came out of Christianity, in the front of the official Spiritualist hymnal, they have responsive readings. And all of them are literally taken from the Bible. And you know, the Bible actually has a lot of spiritualism in it. And people just don't know it because nowadays, you know, there's this kind of fundamentalist mentality which has blocked a lot of this being understood. But, you know, in the Spiritualist church, we used to say Jesus was the master medium. And I think that's true. And anyway, so I was going to read this to you. Here's a passage we used to always read in the Spiritualist church out of the Bible. And it says, "Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I do not want you to be uninformed. Now there are varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are varieties of service, but the same God. To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. To one is given through the Spirit the utterance of wisdom, and to another the utterance of knowledge, according to the same Spirit. To another faith by the same Spirit. To another gifts of healing by the one Spirit. To another the working of miracles. To another prophecy. To another the ability to distinguish between spirits. To another various kinds of tongues. To another interpretation of tongues. All these are inspired by one and the same Spirit, who apportions to each one individually as he wills." Now, see, it talks about the gifts of prophecy, words of knowledge, utterances of knowledge, inner wisdom. All of these are spiritual gifts, and most of the modern Christian church has forgotten this. So they come and they condemn spiritualists, saying, "You're against God, you're talking to demons." But their own scriptures attest to the fact that these spirit gifts exist. So anyways, you know, that's why I'm saying I like Jesus. I think he's an ascended one. I think he's a master medium. That's what they used to call him in this church I was in, the master medium. And I don't have a problem with that. And I'm a Wiccan too. So you know what? For me, both work in my life. But today we're going to talk about another phenomenon which is called direct voice. Now, as I said, there's two types of mediumship. There's physical mediumship and there's mental mediumship. And the difference is mental mediumship is, for example, like what you see on Tuesday, every Tuesday when I do messages from the spirit, I'm receiving impressions from the spirit guides and voices and visions, and I share those with you. That's how I do the readings each Tuesday. Now, physical mediumship is a little different because physical mediumship takes various forms. It can be literally a medium goes into a trance and an objective voice will appear in the room. Like everybody can hear it, not just the medium. It's like a voice talking, like, rah, 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 rah. And I can attest this is a real phenomenon. This actually happened to me at a seance one time. I was literally at a seance sitting around a table and I was trying to go in trance and all of a sudden we heard a voice and it was about like, if I'm back here, it was about this high above me to my left, literally floating in the air. We could hear a voice independently talking. It was not me talking because everybody could see I was there and I was not talking. But this really, honest to God, happened. It is a real phenomenon. It's called independent direct voice. Also accompanying physical mediumship are, for example, levitation of objects. Sometimes many of these gifts will occur at the same time. I brought to show you today my spirit trumpet. Now, several years ago, I did a video on spirit trumpet, but most of you probably haven't seen it, the new people at least. And this is an actual authentic spiritualist church spirit trumpet. It came from Lilydale, New York. It was custom made for me by a medium up there. And it's made of aluminum, or actually I think this was tin. It's very lightweight, tin or aluminum, I'm not sure which. In the old days they were tin. But it's like a megaphone. And you'll see it has one wide end and one narrow end. And during a physical mediumship seance, or sometimes called a trumpet seance, these trumpets will literally levitate off of the seance table and float about the room, and voices will come out of them. Now, I have not yet attended a trumpet seance, but I know people that do this and have seen it, and they swear to God it's real. And I believe it simply because I've materialized a voice. Now, you don't have to have a trumpet to materialize a voice. For some mediums, the voices come through and they're really weak, so the spirits use this because it's like a megaphone and they can talk through it. You see, if you speak to the trumpet, it's louder. And that's what the voices sound like when they come through it. So it's like a microphone. But there are also mediums who do what's called independent voice or direct voice. I myself actually have a bit of physical mediumship. I have manifested spirit lights, that's another physical phenomena, as well as independent voice and full body materialization. That's right. There are some mediums, it's very rare today, but they can go into trance and clouds will form around them, like clouds of gas. It's called ectoplasm. And the ectoplasm will form into a full-bodied apparition that will actually interact with people. I have also done this. Only one time in my life I was at a seance and I literally had a form build up next to me and everybody in the room watched it. And one lady said, she said, "Oh my God, it's an amazing trick that he's doing." Well, it wasn't a trick. It really was real. And I've only done it once, but I'll never forget it. Everybody witnessed it and it walked around the circle and it came back by me. And then it literally just sunk into the floor like it was going down an elevator and dissolved. The ectoplasm broke down. This is called materialization. So we have many forms of physical mediumship. Materialization, direct voice, spirit lights, levitation. All of these are what we call physical phenomena. And so we have, as I said, two mediumships, mental mediumship and physical. Now, some people are up in the air on trance mediumship. As many of you know, I do trance work where I go into a trance and spirits speak through me. Some mediums say that's a mental mediumship because they work through your subconscious mind to impress on your words. It may be mental mediumship. Some mediums, when they trance channel, their voice doesn't change. It's their own voice, but a message comes through. I think in that case, it's more mental mediumship. But interestingly, when I channel, voices come through that are not my own. They are not independent of me at this time, meaning they float in the air, so they're using my physical body. I think I'm kind of on the edge of physical mediumship with that. And it's very, very fascinating. So I have manifested both types of mediumship. Now, let me just read real quickly here. In the definitions of the Spiritualist hymnal, which is from the National Spiritualist Association of Churches. Well, I'm knocking stuff over here. It says, Spiritualism, excuse me, hold on a second. The phenomena, this is about the phenomena. The phenomena of Spiritualism consists of prophecy, clairvoyance, clairaudience, gift of tongues, laying on of hands, healing, visions, trance, apports, revelation, levitation, raps, automatic and independent writing and paintings. We'll do another video on that. Photography, materialization, psychometry, voice, and any other manifestation proving the continuity of life as demonstrated through the physical and spiritual senses and faculties of man. So these are, again, some of the evidences, and as we heard in here, voice phenomena is one of them. Now, you know, it's very interesting. One of the very first books when I first got involved with spiritualism I read, and I recommend, this is harder to get now as you can get it, but I have an old original copy from the 1950s. Came out in I think it was 1929, 1925. Let me see, I don't remember what year it was. It was in the 1920s when this book first came out. But this book is called, it's very classic in spiritualism, On the Edge of the Etheric. Can you see that up there? On the Edge of the Etheric. And this is written by Arthur Findlay, F-I-N-D-L-A-Y, Arthur Findlay, right there's his name. Arthur Findlay was not himself a medium, but he was actually a very wealthy stockbroker. And he lived in Scotland, and he started attending seances with a medium named John Sloan. And John Sloan was gifted with direct voice phenomena. And this book details the various seances that he sat at. I really highly recommend this because it will not only give you an understanding of the direct voice phenomena, it will give you an overall understanding of spiritualism and spiritual phenomena. You know, in spiritualism, we always talk about vibrations. And people say, oh, you spiritualist and your vibrations. But really, this book has a great illustration, which I want to touch in on, which is the visible light spectrum. Now, do you see that little black bar there? That is how much of the light spectrum we as humans actually receive. When we see light like the rainbow, blue, red, green, white light, that is all we see. The entire spectrum of the light spectrum, though, goes far beyond that one little bar. So it proves that there are realities. For example, if we go this way, we're into the ultraviolet. If we go that way, we're into infrared. Now, we all know today that there are waves, for example, like ultraviolet waves. You know, you go to a tanning salon. Those light waves that hit you are ultraviolet, and they are what cause the tanning. Or also, there's also infrared, which heats up rooms like heat lamps. Now, we also have microwaves, and nowadays we have wireless internet. That is a vibration is beyond the physical. As I'm sitting here talking to you now, I have a router in my house that is automatically connecting me to Wi-Fi and internet. Do I see the waves going through my computer and through me? No, but they're here. That's beyond our visible spectrum. So when we talk about physical phenomena, you have to understand that sometimes there are elements that are beyond the visible spectrum, okay? I was going to read to you just a little passage here from this book about the voice phenomena. Okay, hold on just a second. Okay, hold on a second. I lost my spot here. Okay, here it is. To enable those who once lived in this is Arthur Findlay, On the Edge of the Etheric. This is in the introduction. To enable those who once lived in this physical world of ours to rematerialize their bodies, composed of this finer etheric substance, certain conditions are necessary. Now, earlier he talks about the substance called ectoplasm. That's a finer energy substance that mediums work with, okay? Certain conditions are necessary. The first is the presence of someone possessing a superfluidity of the substance, which in recent years has been termed ectoplasm or teleplasm. Whichever word will be ultimately adopted is a matter of no special importance. This individual is termed a medium, through which it is believed that most of us have this quality, though it is believed that most of us have this quality of mediumship in a more or less degree, as we all have this substance within our bodies. Now let me back up. They believe that ectoplasm is like kind of a coating on our cells. Our blood cells, our organ cells, all have another coating, which is ectoplasmic, that can be drawn off of our body. It's almost like a fluid kind of substance that can be pulled out of us. The recognized medium is different from us solely because he or she has the substance to a greater degree than the average individual, and it is thus more easily borrowed by the other world men and women who will make use of him or her for their time being. In the cause of direct voice, now that's the independent voice floating in the air talking, direct voice, to which I am now referring, the best results take place in darkness, as light vibrations make it more difficult for this ectoplasm to be built up with sufficient solidity to vibrate the atmosphere. Now, what they're talking about here is that to have physical phenomena, such as an apparition or a voice, they have to have an environment to allow ectoplasmic production to manifest. This is why seances are often held in dark rooms, because it's believed that ectoplasm is sensitive to light. It breaks down in bright light. And so when we sit in a dark room, the phenomena oftentimes manifest more directly, stronger, more vibrant. Okay, now people in the past said, oh, you know, spiritualists just have these dark room seances so you can do tricks in the dark. I can tell you, as somebody's personally experienced it, it does make an absolute difference in the phenomena. And that's why when we do our sitting, I have dimmer light, because being a physical medium, it allows the spirit people to manifest more strongly. Okay, so I'm not going to read a lot from this, but I want you to get this, so look for it, On the Edge of the Etheric, Arthur Findlay. Okay, now just to give you some examples here of what this phenomena looks like. Now these are actual photographs from seances, and this here, I love this. There's a spirit called Silverbell who materialized to a medium named Ethel Parrish Post. This is back in the 1930s through the 1950s. And they actually photographed a materialization of a spirit at a seance. And you can see coming from the cabinet, there's a cord of ectoplasm. From a medium, the cords of ectoplasm go out and then spirits form from that. And it builds up like a substance, and slowly features form. By the way, these pictures are from the book This is Spiritualism by Maurice Barbanel. And in the end, you get a full apparition. Now, I can tell you in all honesty, I did this one time. I didn't get a full clarity like that, but I clearly got the outline of a person. It was more of a shadow form, but it was clearly visible, and they were, I believe, an earthbound trying to manifest. But I did get a full-bodied apparition. Not as clear as this one, but enough that everybody could clearly see it was a person. So this is materialization. Now, as we're talking about these spirit trumpets that levitate, here is an example of a trumpet seance. Up here, a medium is in trance. Now, ectoplasm is coming out of his face, and it brings out what we call rods of ectoplasm, and it lifts the trumpets in the air. Here's another one. Generally, you're not allowed to touch ectoplasm, but in this one, the spirits let this guy touch the ectoplasmic cord that came from the medium. During a seance, you wouldn't see the ectoplasm. Usually, it's too dark, but you would see the trumpet levitate. Usually, the trumpets have paint on them that makes them visible in the dark. And this is an actual example of a trumpet seance. It looks kind of freaky, but the medium doesn't feel any pain during this. But, however, one of the things that's very important if you're going to do physical mediumship is a darker environment, because if you don't have a darker environment, it will be harder to get the phenomena. If you were to turn on the lights on a medium in the middle of a seance, that ectoplasm would retract back into their body and could actually kill them. And I know a medium who was injured very badly in a seance where she was doing a materialization. And somebody took a camera flash, and she ended up going to the hospital from hemorrhages. Now, here's another example of levitation. I've actually had tables levitate, not as high as this, but I've had them rise off the ground about 3 or 4 inches in a seance. That's when spirits give power to levitate tables. And here's another trumpet seance. Now, notice this is a famous medium, Jack Weber. Ectoplasmic rods are coming from his midsection and his mouth, and they're levitating trumpets. Now, this was actually in a pitch black room, and it was filmed with infrared photography. And the people present can vouch that there was no trickery or fakery here. Now, notice on the trumpets, these 2 bands, these are luminous bands so that they can see the trumpet where it is in the dark room. And so this is another example of trumpet mediumship. As I said, I have tried to levitate a trumpet. I've never had that success, but who knows, one day I may get it. But I have gotten voices independent of it anyways. It takes a lot of power for a medium to levitate a trumpet, though. And, you know, I'm working on it. So these are just a few of the phenomena of physical mediumship. And so I wanted to touch on this today with you because I think it's very important. Now, if you want to read a really fascinating book, you want to get this by Leslie Flynn. I touched on this the other day. Voices in the Dark. And this is the autobiography of Leslie Flynn. It tells about his life as a medium and what he went through. Let's see if they have some. They actually have some pictures in here, I think. Here's some pictures. He was a direct voice. Now, he didn't use trumpets, but he would have voices materialized. And the Society for Psychical Research did study him. He sat in, that's him there, he sat in official seances with witnesses under test conditions. And he was able to materialize, independent of himself, voices. And they could tell the voices were not coming from his body. So this is an amazing type of mediumship. I think it's probably my favorite type. It's one that I hope that I will develop further as we go along. Interestingly, they say that many people who start as trance mediums, like I do, ultimately develop it. So as I keep working with the spirits, it gives them more power. And who knows, we may be eventually having a seance where we can film independent voices at a seance with me. But I recommend this voice, okay? Voices in the Dark by Leslie Flint. So guys, I think we'll leave it there. There's a lot to cover already. I could talk 6 more hours on that. But just want you to know, as I said, there are 2 types of mediumship, physical and mental. And today we're going to do trance sitting, which is, in my belief, at least my type of trance, is a middle ground between mental mediumship and physical, because the voices that come through are not my voices. And I think it's on the edge of going towards physical mediumship. So, anyways, I'd like to welcome you to our circle. Pull up your chairs here, gather around, and let's have a seance. Okay, I've brought our lights down, and it's still daylight here. We have just enough soft light coming in that you can still see me, but I don't feel like I'm sitting in bright, direct light, which for me as a medium hampers my ability to go into trance. So if you're somebody you're interested in exploring trance phenomena, you might want to explore different lighting conditions. Some mediums work in bright light, it doesn't bother them. I find that a softer lighting is just simply better for me. So what I want you to do is get comfortable in your chairs, and we're going to have just a little invocation before we begin. So join with me. Let's close our eyes. As we close our eyes, let's just center ourselves and follow our breathing and attune to the silence, attune to the peace within. Mother, Father, God, Great Eternal Spirit, we thank you for this time of gathering. We ask now that we all be open to receiving the messages that may come from beyond. We invite our spirit guides, our master teachers and loved ones to be present with us now. Help us to learn of the spiritual world and walk in the light. Bless our gathering this day. So mote it be. Amen. All right. Well, I'm so glad you joined with me for that invocation. I always say it's good to start with the prayer. You want to raise the energy. What's a better way to raise the energy than going straight to the highest source? Huh? All right, I'm going to go into trance, and I'll see you when I get back. Oh, greetings, this is Fletcher here. Give us just a moment while we get control of the medium's vibration. Oh, I tell ya, we got it raining in sometimes, you know. He's a bit of a spaz, he is, you know. But then again, I suppose I am too. But you know, working together, we're able to bridge the gap and reach over between the worlds. Lots of soul glow out here tonight. So many of you gathering with us are being called by us. If you've been hearing a little voice calling you, say, come to the seance, well, then you've been getting our message. And even if you haven't, the fact that you're here means that on some level, you're being called. So be listening for our voices and we'll be with you all. I've got somebody else here wanting to speak, so I'll be stepping out of our medium. This is Fletcher, over and out.
In my younger years, I often thought that people who believed in the spiritual world were somehow daft. I was raised in a very devout Christian home, but I felt that its rules and regulations were too limiting. My father and mother were very devout Christians who insisted that we attend church 3 times a week. I would go twice on Sunday and on Wednesday. We had many services. It was drilled into me about the word of the Lord, the Bible. It was my opinion in my youth that God was some taskmaster, some cruel man sitting there throwing jabs of lightning at people. And I even went away after college. I thought, I'm done with religion. I was at Cambridge University and they used to have a choir there. Somebody said, "Oh, Alfred, why don't you join the choir?" I said, "No, thank you. I've had quite enough of that religious bunk." And I walked away from God and all spirituality. It wasn't until a little later in my university career that I discovered the workings of magic, and I was invited in those days to be part of a spiritual gathering that practiced ceremonial magics. And it was through the ceremonial magics that I came to believe in the spiritual world, where we conjured spirits to physical evocation, and I would see them materialize within the triangle. And it is true that there are worlds beyond worlds that you can know. And when I would first encounter the spirit, I was amazed at the thought that it could be that it could, one, be present, and that it was not hallucinating, and that the spirit even spoke to us. I was cautioned against interaction with spirits that I did not know. There are those within the magical realms and the magical circles who conjure dark forces as well, such as demonic entities. You are very familiar, I know many of you, with Aleister Crowley. This is one who would often conjure demonic forces. And though I myself did not participate, I was aware of those people who did engage in such nefarious activities. And I did not find it to be much to my liking. I much rather preferred to hear from a glorious angel or a high ascended master. These are things that did inspire me, and I began again to have faith in the spiritual world. The Christianity of my parents was one of legalism, of rules and of regulations, and I had no interest in returning to that world. But the world that I discovered was that there is a realm beyond this world, a spiritual world, a realm of light as well as a realm of darkness. And how we interact with that realm is entirely up to us. And so today I encourage each of you, reach for the realms of light, and you will find that there are many reaching back to help you. You do not have to have fear, for the spiritual world is full of goodness if you wish it to be. Your own consciousness will determine what experience you have. This is why we of the spirit world are oftentimes sent to assist those who are oppressed by evil forces. There are those who like to play with things as Ouija boards and stir up things. And many a teenager has opened a portal this way. Whenever you reach across to the spirit world, know that there is somebody there waiting to receive your message. So be very careful and be very sure of whom you are invoking. This is why we often, many times, we encourage those of you, if you're not sure of your spirit guide, you can call upon me or Fletcher or Rose, who ask us to help you, and we will connect you to an angel or to a being of light that will be for your best and for your advancement, that will bring good into your life. You can equally conjure the evil, but we would not advise that. Seek the light, and the light will be within you. The light is all about you. My name is Everett. Oh, there we go. Oh, it was a quick drop into the water here, like I was falling down an elevator shaft as I entered it. Well, there we go, my dears. Hello, Mrs. Rose. So good to be with all of you. You know, as I was listening to Alfred speak, I always enjoy hearing his experiences, and I must say he was far more spiritually advanced whilst on the earth than I was. He and I both came out of the Church of England. Interestingly, he saw through it what I did not see. I was very much myself trapped in the rules and regulations. Now, that is not to say that the Church of England does not do good, for it does. But you see, there are within certain branches of that religion those who want to be taskmasters. I heard Everett say that I think is a very appropriate word. But, my dears, the truth is that your connection to the spirit world does not have to be one of dread and fear and domination. You see, this is the problem. Many churches want to dominate your life and control you. The spirit world only wants to be your friend. We don't care what you think or what you want to do. It's your free will. We do, however, encourage you to make choices that are for the positive, for the good, and for goodness and light and love. But it again is your ability to choose. You see, many churches want to take away people's free will, and that is not in keeping with the higher self and the reality of why you are here. Each human soul comes into the earth with a mission. Do you know each of you here today have been purposely, specifically chosen by the Almighty to come and to learn and to bring home knowledge and glory? When you return to the spirit world, you will be met by many people, and they will have their arms out to embrace you. You are greatly loved, and for those of you who feel very alone, please do not think that you are forgotten. In the earthly realm, there is a veil that separates the two worlds. The spirit world is on one side, and your world is on the other. But please know, and I have always said it, we are as close as a whisper, and if you will listen, you will hear our guidance. If you don't know what to do, simply be still. If you sit still and you ask from your heart, you must ask in all sincerity for the spirit world to reveal itself to you, and you will have a revelation. There's a man over here that I met, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Perhaps some of you know him. I did not have the good fortune to meet him whilst I was on earth, but I have met him here in the spirit world. And Sir Arthur has said to me, Rose, spiritualism brings a new revelation to the earth, and that revelation is always new. And you know, my dear, in our day, back in the 1920s and the 1930s, I used to say, oh, spiritualism was a bunch of bunk. But I can tell you, in all objectivity, aside from my personal opinion of the time, that it was a new revelation to the earth. I had many people who would go to seances, and they would come back and tell me these amazing things. They would say, oh, Rose, my grandmother appeared to me, or my brother who died in the war appeared to me. I was all quite fascinated, but at the same time, rather skeptical. I went to my vicar and I said, Vicar, what about this spiritualism? And he said, Rose, have no part of it. You only need what I teach you in church. You need Jesus. Oh, it's very true that having Jesus is very good. But Jesus created the spiritual world and dwells in it as well. He is an ascended and high person here. And he himself testified to the truth of the reality of another world. And so I encourage each of you today, be open to the fact that you are here on a mission, that you come with love in your heart. You are sent from the other side, and none of you are abandoned. Sit, be still, and listen for the guidance of the spirit world. For the spirit world wants to give you all things, all love, all support, all happiness. But to have these things, you must be patient and wait on us. As we said, do not have fear. You're never alone. I know there are some of you here tonight, and I can see by your glow that you're saying, but Rose, I'm all alone. I have no one. My dears, when you feel that way, you call upon me. You'll have me as your friend, and I will introduce you to even more of the spirit world. Your journey on earth is not over. Some of you think you've come to the end. No, my dears, if you're hearing my voice today, this means that your journey is just beginning. Let me walk with you, my dears. Call upon me and I will help you. All of us over here want to help you to be closer to our wealth. Fletcher says the medium's power is fading, so I shall not stay much longer. But I thank you for receiving me. Please call upon me and know that I will be there with you. And before the power totally fades, let me remind you again that you have a calling and you have a purpose. You are not here by accident. We love you all. My name is Everett.
Hey, tubies. I'm back. I love the channel. I tell you, I feel their presence as it starts to come into me. It's like I disappear. It's like I go to sleep, but I can feel amazing things happening. I feel really blessed to have the chance to be a channel. If you've enjoyed today's seance, you want to learn more about my work with my spirit guides, particularly with Rose, you might want to pop over to my website and pick up this book, Messages from Rose. Just go to my website. I have the link below this video, and you can get this book. Okay, Messages from Rose, and I think you'll really enjoy it. Also over there, Psyche Bob's Book of Wiccan Wisdom, Ouija Mysteries, the Spirit Board Seances, all of these and more. I have other books you can get over at my website, robert-hickman.com. So I am so glad you guys are here. Thank you for being part of our seance. Thanks for being part of my channel. Listen, if you want to help me out, please like this video, favorite it, share it with your friends, pass this video around, post it on your Facebook page. Let people know about what we do here. I am so thankful you're here. Well, next week, next Saturday, we'll have another class on spiritualism. We'll have another seance. So I hope you'll be with us. I think we're going to each week keep this class going, because a lot of you have been saying you wanted to learn, and I think it's a wonderful way to combine a mystical experience of a seance and practical knowledge of the spiritualist teachings. So as I said, I practice spiritualism as one of my religions, as well as Wicca, and they both work for me. You guys are best. I love you. I send blessings to you, and we'll be back here. By the way, be back here tomorrow on Sunday, because we have the witching hour. And it's going to be Lady Angela and Lord Tony and I. We're going to have a wonderful time. You didn't see last week, we had our Beltane celebration, did a ritual. If you didn't see that, you might want to check that out, last Sunday's video. And you'll get an idea what the witching hour show is like if you haven't seen it. But be here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern U.S. time, live, whatever time zone you're in. And we'll have the witching hour. And it'll be a live broadcast with chat, and you can interact. We had such a good turnout. I hope you'll be with us again this week. Till then, I encourage you, keep looking to the heavens, keep talking to the spirit world, keep love in your heart. I love you guys. Blessings to you. We'll see you here tomorrow. Until then, may you always blessed be.